Hi, my name is Katarina, and today I'm going to be showing some of the ways I'm learning Russian. So the first thing I picked up as a Russian learner was this course right here. It is the New Penguin Russian course. It is very helpful. I mainly use it for my grammar because the way they go about it is very easy to understand, unlike other textbooks. It also has a few tips and tricks over pronunciation and things like that, so I definitely recommend it. It also has little courses you can go through that explain certain things and aspects of grammar that is very helpful to go along with any other ways you might be studying. The next book that I have is 501 Russian Verbs. Super self-explanatory, super helpful for conjugations. Definitely recommend if you're a beginner or any stage of learning. And at the end of the book, there's a whole exercise section of it where you can go and try your best at certain conjugations and things like that. Another popular way that I used to study is getting one of my favorite books in the language that I'm learning. Right now is these two, Kafka on the Shore. A lot of people like to pair them next to each other and read them side by side. I like to choose a book that I know by heart, so I go through the Russian one and I read it, and then I realize where I'm at in that book, and then if I don't understand anything, I make a note and then I go back and then I translate what I read and then go from there. It's super helpful and it keeps me engaged in learning because it's something that I actually like, and I definitely recommend it. Along with the book, I also do this with some of my favorite video games, along with more digital kind of forms of learning. I change my phone language into Russian, my PS4 language into Russian. I try to immerse myself as much as I can. So what I do is I get my favorite game imported. So right now it is The Last of Us. I also have part 2 in Russian as well. And since I've played it so much, I know what dialogue is where. I can understand and connect that to Russian. So I'm like, okay, so this means this. So it's super helpful and keeps me engaged just like reading, and it's also fun to do it as well. And since The Last of Us is kind of like a realistic game, it's not a fantasy game or anything, a lot of the words I can find in real life as well, and it's super helpful. Another thing that I do is kind of popular in terms of language learning, but I basically just keep a diary of my language learning journey. Not really about learning the language itself, but it's literally just a foreign language diary. I write about my day, what I want to do, and I kind of just write the words that I know. And eventually, as I learn more throughout time, my grammar will get a lot better if I'm supplementing that with writing in here. So if I look at my entries from a year ago, the grammar sucks, but if I look at it maybe recently, I can see that I'm using more of the things that I'm learning from other ways, like grammar, and my sentence structure flows better, as well as I'm learning new words. I also have this little journal of unfamiliar words for me. I carry it around with me everywhere, and basically it's a journal of all my unfamiliar words that I find in any source of media. I write it down and I add these bubbles next to it, and I go through this every day whenever I have the time and fill in if I am more familiar with the word, and I keep going through it. As long as I keep learning and I'm understanding the word, I'll get to fill in the bubble, and then eventually I'll know it and I can fill it in with another word. So this is kind of what it looks like. It's super helpful, and it gets me to finally get down and just learn in my free time if I don't really have the time to sit down and study. So if I need a word for sky, I'll write it down if I'm out there, and then I'll fill in the bubble if I know it. Similar with my notebook hack, I also have my grammar book. I'm sure many other people have done like their own little notes, but this is basically just a compilation of the way I've kind of written it down myself, and this is more of the grammar and conjugation side of Russian. I have all the little specifics of it, and any notes that I have, I write down post-its and stick it on just so I have it for later. Another thing I'd like to note is that there's a website called masterrussian.com, but it's the 1,000 most common words PDF that is completely magical. I had to donate to get it, but if you go on that website, along with this, there's a ton of other tools and helpful tricks that made my Russian journey a lot easier. I definitely recommend it. I'm sure you could find more specific lists if you needed other types of vocabulary, but this helped me out a ton when I was a beginner, and it's awesome. And that's it. Those are all my tips and the resources I have for Russian. I hope you take some of these away and have a good day. Thanks for watching.